but we're talking school. That's because we have some good news for you. I know, don't get discouraged.
You want to go boo? No, just kidding.
Not yet. It's because we have someone really exciting to introduce you to. This is John Baugher, newest principal of Sussex Tech. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. This is very cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I don't think I've talked to a principal since I was in high school.
Right? Like,
yeah.
are we in trouble?
Right. I know. I feel a little like I have to be on my best behavior.
There you go.
That's
you
true.
don't
Well,
want to
'cause
get detention today.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I made the dean's list, and this was such a shock to me. My mom called. She's like, "You made the dean's list," and I was like, "Is that a good list or a bad list?" So that tells you who you're hanging out with.
There you go.
Exactly. That's right. So first, I'm just curious. This might be a crazy question, but maybe you get it all the time. I just want to know what it's like to be a principal and your favorite things about it.
It's actually really awesome to be a principal. You're around younger people all day, like you guys, and I get to celebrate their successes and then watch them grow. And then the best part is when you see them, 3 or 4 years later, 5 or 6 years later, or 10 or 12 years later, in my case, and they're being successful or have overcome an obstacle in their lives and things like that. So it's pretty awesome, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think too, thinking back on my high school days and even middle school days, you always remember teachers and principals, like what they did for you, how they made you feel. You don't remember the little things they said. Like I remember one principal used to always dance up every year and do single ladies dance for us just to make us laugh, So really, you do make a lasting impression on students.
Well, that's our hope. When you're an educator, you hope to have that. And if you get an opportunity, I was fortunate enough to go back to one of the high schools I was in prior to their graduation, and one of the young ladies reminded me of something that I had told her when she was a freshman, and she used it as part of her graduation speech. So when something like that, those little moments along the way, that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
You actually make an impact at some point.
They do listen sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't always know it. Yeah, you don't always know it at the time. So
That's right.
That works.
Do you see sort of any of the challenges that kids who were in high school and maybe even college during COVID, do you see any changes, I think, between maybe the generation just before them and those kids that were in COVID learning times?
Well, I think social media has changed the world forever. I think we need to work on how to teach people how to use it appropriately at time frames. And I think maturity-wise, sometimes our students in a lower high school level, so let's say 9th or 10th graders, and they're not quite mature enough to be able to deal with the social media aspects of life, whereas hopefully by the time they're in 11th or 12th grade that they're able to do that. So we probably need to adjust and alter some way what we teach them about that aspect of where the world is today in social media. So.
And as someone who's leading educators, I bet you have some really cool, inspiring maybe stories. Can you tell us something that maybe was inspiring or stayed with you?
We had a young man who the mother had actually talked to us probably in February or so. His father was terminally ill, and as the COVID crisis hit at that moment, she had asked if we could come to a special celebration before he passed away, even though he wasn't going to graduate until that following May. But they wanted some kind of celebration. So that day was really interesting. This is how communication and social media can actually work. She posted, this was later in the afternoon or in the evening, she posted on social media how to get a hold of me because the father was on his last 2 or 3 days of living. And somebody, my former boss who was now living in Florida, saw the post on social media, contacted me, ended up turning around. I was driving about 45 minutes north of Baltimore, and I had to drive back to Annapolis, which is about a 2-hour swing of time frame to see the dad. I had to run back to the high school real quick, grab as many caps and gowns as I could. We got there. It was an awesome experience for them in the sense of, it was a very sad moment in their lives, but it was really an incredible thing. And then I got invited to the viewing and everything later.
Wow.
So
and I think those moments too, like for kids in school-aged kids, a lot of times maybe that can be the only moment where they feel heard and cared about and special. And so for you to show that to your students that they are important and they are heard and they are special, and to go the extra couple of miles to get to the hospital.
Well, the hard thing sometimes as a principal is you don't always get to know the kids as well as you want to. So you have to make an effort to really do that. And you have to be out in the hallways more often. You have to stay later to do the other work, the paperwork and that kind of stuff, so that you're out there and you can make those great relationships, because that's what it's really all about. And watching kids grow and develop and supporting the staff to be able to get them to motivate our students.
So I'm curious for Sussex Tech, what are you most looking forward to after summer? What are your goals? aspirations, dreams for this year?
The most important thing is to get to know the staff and the students as quickly as possible. I've been studying the yearbook to try to make sure I know people's names, which is important. People, when you have to be able to call people by their first name or by their given name, and something that's important for them. Really, for me, it's a challenge. It's a slightly different. It's a smaller district than I'm used to, so it'll be interesting to see how that system operates. We're getting ready to start a new building in about a year or so, and maybe a little bit before that time frame, but it's going to be an incredible place after about 3 or 4 years of construction. So,
we have a lot of names to remember, so
Yes.
good luck this year. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope a lot of your future students are seeing this and they're excited, because you're very lucky for who you have leading you at Sussex Tech this coming year. All right, well, thank you again. And for you, though, don't go anywhere. We still have a lot to catch up on, so CoastLife. We'll be right back.